So, it's coming up for Christmas, you're looking for a family movie to take the kids to. How about The Golden Compass? But is it the family movie that you might think it is? It's going to be full of special effects, it's going to have a romping story. But what is the background? Where does this story come from? Well, the story is the first one in a trilogy called The Northern Lights here in the UK. It's called The Golden Compass in the US, which is why the film's got that name. Now, while the books are on one level, it's certain that the film has been toned down. The original director, in fact, withdrew from the project because he'd said of the need to really tone down its attacks on organised religion, for which read Christianity. There's no real attack on Islam, and maybe Judaism, as the names of God are given, like El and Yahweh. Chris Weitz also believed that the studio were looking for another kind of Lord of the Rings, and he couldn't see that that was the kind of film what it would be. Nevertheless, a new director took over, and production continued until he resigned in 2006, and Chris Weitz actually taken back over again. And and as he originally said, the tone, if you like, of the books has been turned down. In fact, I've got a quote from the National Secular Society here, who are very critical of the way the film's gone, saying that they've taken the heart out of it, losing the point of it, castrating it. So, where is it now, and why is it dangerous if this element has been taken out? Well, obviously the films are very closely linked with the books, and the marketing will link them in, and the books are far more sinister and underhand than the film is. And any child who's been watching the film is going to want to watch the book. He's going to want to read the books rather, not watch them. Let me give you some quotes from people who are in the books as heroes, working with the children. There's one here from one of the witches in the book, and she says, "Every church is the same: control, destroy, obliterate every good feeling." Here's another quote from Mary Malone, who is a scientist who used to be a nun, and she declares that the Christian religion is a very powerful and convincing mistake. That's all. One other thing that as parents you're probably going to be concerned about is the fact that the children are aided in their quest with personal demons. Now, Pullman describes these as an extension of the soul. From a Christian point of view, they seem more like familiar spirits. And Pullman, being Pullman, has named them demons to stir up Christians. He likes to see us ranting and raving so that we can seem irrational while he seems rational. But actually, when you really read his books, it's his bitterness and hatred that comes across actually as the irrational. It's his irrational hatred of Christianity. Take someone like Richard Dawkins. He's trying to present an atheist point of view, whereas in these books Pullman is presenting his atheistic views to children, but sort of hidden within a story. So the books themselves really undermine Christianity. Is Christianity threatened by these? No, I don't think so. Christianity has been around for 2,000 years, and they're not going to be harmed by these books. In the same way, thousands don't convert to Christianity reading the Narnia books. Thousands are not going to lose their faith through reading these books. But basically, they do come in, and they are a vicious attack on dearly held beliefs. Far more, though, say, than naming a teddy bear with a certain name. Now, if you go on the New Line website to look up about the film, which again many children are going to do, on that site you can discover your own personal demon. You answer all sorts of questions, you put in your name, and it comes out with what kind of demon you are. These are all like animal spirits, like tiger, cat, monkey, all that kind of thing. And again, it's just this spiritual element that is going to cause Christian parents to be concerned and probably decide this is not going to be a film that I want my kids to see. These books, this differ from C.S. Lewis's Narnias in that there's a far more preachy element that certainly gathers a pace and by the time you've got to book 3, you really are being preached at. Also, you should bear in mind that Pullman's view of Narnia books, I've got a quote here, he says, "I loathe the Narnia books, one of the most ugly, poisonous things I've ever read." And that begins to give us a picture of where he's coming from. This isn't just exposing your children to different worldly viewpoints. This is allowing them to be part of something which is seeking to undermine faith. Now, I've got a couple more quotes here from Philip Pullman himself. These come from a 2003 interview. "My books are about killing God. I'm trying to undermine the basis of Christian belief. I am of the devil's party, and I know it." When Pullman describes Tolkien as fundamentally infantile, for me he undermines the value of his own books. But you see, Tolkien's books are fantasy. He wrote a great story about something designed to entertain. In fact, Tolkien himself disliked allegory. But there you have a difference, because Pullman is coming in preaching, and the preaching, as I've said, increases throughout the three books. And if it's a message with a in the books, it must be recognised that it's a message of bitterness. They're like Narnia with a hate-filled twist. And if this film is the beginning of a trilogy, then you can see why it's not the kind of film you really want your kids getting into.